Let me think. So I started the podcast in March of 2020,
Uh-huh.
and I found that we're rolling, by the way. But I found
Uh-huh.
that a lot of business owners stopped, like during the pandemic, they stopped like advertising a lot, and I also found that business owners weren't like telling their story very well. So
Mhm.
I wanted to give a space where, and it's funny because like people won't listen to a 3 minute radio commercial, but they'll listen to like an hour long podcast. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it was very strange. So I was like, you know what? And I've always wanted to start one. So why not just interview business owners and creatives, help people get their story out there. Um, and I haven't stopped, man. It's been great.
It's awesome. I love
Yeah,
it.
man. And I really appreciate you wanting to come on and talk to me. I saw you on LinkedIn. I think we actually connected on one of the posts um, that I put out. Just I like to call people out every once in a while who I
Yeah,
feel like
yeah. I
deserve.
think I saw one of your posts. I was like, you know what? I like this. I like this guy. We should be connected.
Yeah. I like the contrarian like viewpoints. I like just questioning things, and that's also kind of why I liked some of your stuff. But tell us, just like give us your story, start from the beginning, like tell us what you do and how you got here.
Man, yeah. So I had a whole other life before money. I'll tell you that much.
All right, cool,
I
man.
was I was studying Middle Eastern studies and Arabic. That was my major
Oh wow.
in college, and I was loving it. We lived in Jordan for a bit, and I was like, hey,
Wow.
I'm gonna work in the embassies, be a diplomat or whatever. And my last semester at college, I just I can't remember what it was. It was like a series of events, but I just kind of realized like, wow, I don't know anything about money. I
Right.
couldn't tell you like any. I didn't know what an IRA was
Oh,
or a
okay.
401k. Like I
Yeah.
really had zero knowledge, and I was like, okay, well, I have pretty ambitious goals for my family and for our own success and wealth, and I better freaking learn how to do this. And so I put all of my other, international relations plans on hold, and I just got a job at Fidelity Investments. And I
Oh
got a job
wow.
there because number one, they have paid training. So they pay you while you're studying and getting licensed. And then they train you on all the ins and outs of investment and financial planning so that you can help, their customers.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, cool. I'll go do that for a while. I'll learn whatever I need to learn. It was almost like a paid apprenticeship is the way I viewed it. And then when I feel like I've learned what I need to learn, then I'll go off and do my other thing, right? And something crazy happened during that process is number one, I found so much empowerment by educating myself,
Yeah.
and it opened up a whole new world to me. And number two, I liked it. I was like, actually, this is fun.
Yeah.
I dig it. And then number three, I realized there are a ton of people out there that have no idea, just like me, have no idea anything about money or financial planning.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question.
Shoot.
I get that a lot. So I've interviewed a few people who are creating financial literacy apps. I have people in the education space. This is like the number one thing is personal finance. What's the deal, man? Why do you think people don't know? Do you think it's like and we've talked about some of the big things in the past, but I just want to get like your fresh view. Like, do you think it's like a public school system issue? Do you think it's like an apathy issue? Like, what are you thinking?
So there's a couple things at play in my mind. Like number one, there's some big, broader, like macro issues. Back previous generations, you would just go get a job for a company and they would give you a pension.
Yeah.
Yes, you'd
Yep.
work for them for 40 years and then you'd stop working and they would continue to pay you through a pension.
Right.
And so life was pretty simple. I mean, as simple as it can get financially. But as there's like a proliferation of financial products and financial opportunities and different ways to do things, all of a sudden pensions are gone because they're really bad for a company's balance sheet. And we have to save for ourselves, right? And so there's like a whole trend of they didn't ever have to think about it. And
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
if we don't think about it, we're in big trouble. So I think that's like one big broad issue that is new for
Like
our
like
generation.
Like no one's ever had to like think about it. So now it's kind of on us, like the new generation, to actually like, oh, I got to figure this out.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then the other issue is, where do we learn anything about life? And it's in the home.
Yeah.
And the thing about money is it is so intertwined with our emotions and our psychology that it's really uncomfortable to talk about. Like there's
Right.
research out there, people would rather talk about their sex lives with a stranger than talk about their money.
Yeah, it is. It is like taboo,
It's
especially with like,
taboo.
yeah, like how's money doing? Everybody's fine with money. It doesn't
Yeah, it's like,
matter if
oh yeah,
they're
good, like no problems. Yeah, like we're successful or whatever. So
right.
parents have their own issues that they grew up with. They're on the subconscious level. They don't realize them, but then they're teaching directly or indirectly their kids some
Yeah.
things that are probably not great, and they don't know a whole lot themselves, like as far as the nuts and bolts. But then you mix in like psychology and kind of messed up beliefs about money, and
Hmm.
it's intergenerational. Like it just carries on.
Yeah.
So we have a ton of things out there, lack of knowledge, and a lack of awareness about how we deal with money emotionally. And those kind of all just are imploding right now.
Yeah, I like that. I'm also taking notes, by the way, because I'm like, oh yeah, there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about. Um, but I like, no, that makes a lot of sense, and that's kind of like what I'm hearing, dude. Is we were never taught it, whether it was in the education system or not. And life has really changed. Like, yeah, like pensions don't really exist anymore. And I got my bachelor's degree in accounting. Um, and we only talked about pensions for a minute, and that was because of what you were just saying. They're not really like if a company wants to offer anything.
Yeah, they're not
I mean, the
relevant.
yeah, the closest thing you would offer is like a 401k at now.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know what I mean? And most companies don't even match 401ks. They just, yeah, we set it up.
Yeah, it's kind of up to
There
you.
you
They're just
go.
like, okay, like take care of yourself in 40 years. Like we hope you make the
Sure,
right decisions. Good luck.
sure, absolutely. So that's interesting that you went from, and you know what's funny about this conversation is this happens to me all the time where people end up in what they love and start doing what they love and they never thought about it before. So like you were going to be in international relations, like you were going to be in
Hmm.
politics. It sounds like,
Hmm.
dang
It's
man,
it's so interesting. I see that trend. Like there's
yeah,
obviously, follow your passion is like
right,
we hear from some crowds, and other crowds are like, that's the dumbest idea ever.
sure,
And I think there is a lot of truth to following your passion. The thing is, like when you're so young, you don't have any experience, you don't have exposure to things. It's really hard to really know what you're passionate about.
yeah, yeah,
And what I found, like languages, I love languages. Like I've learned multiple of them. I love them. I always will. Um,
yeah,
but that doesn't mean I'm going to create a business out of it or like a
right,
profession necessarily. It doesn't have to.
sure,
But
yeah, I get what you're saying.
I found that as I found like money clicked for me. I understood the principles
Yeah,
behind everything. And I found that as I became good at that, I became passionate about it.
yeah,
And so now I really enjoy what I do, but it's because I found that thing that I kind of clicked with. I think once you get really good at something, you actually enjoy doing it. Maybe that's
yeah,
just me.
yeah. That's a good point, though. No, that's a good point. You get really good at it. You start wanting to show other people
Mhm.
that they can be good at it, because one of the things I really believe is not as hard as everybody thinks it is. You know what
True.
I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like if you and I guess that's the thing, right? Find something you're good at, double down on it, keep going. And like another one of my things is like don't be afraid to like move on.
Hmm.
I think we romanticize like, and I think one of the reasons is because of what you mentioned earlier. Like our parents worked at the same job for 40 years, got the gold watch, and then, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You
for
know,
sure. For
I
sure.
mean, like that was real. Like that was real. I
And it was
grew up in,
important.
yeah, and it was important. And I grew up in
Yeah,
the Midwest. Like factories did that, man. You got a Rolex at the end of it, and you just, you
that's
know,
right. Here's your
you
thank
die.
you.
Yeah,
That
you died with it, dude.
that's how it was. Yeah, exactly. Like it was
Yeah,
meaningful. And
yeah,
for those all those generations, like it's not like there were other options available.
that's true. Yeah, that's very true.
Like now we
Is
have more opportunities than we can think of.
Yeah, yeah, and I feel like there's pros and cons, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, that can get you all caught up. But um yeah, anyway, continue with your story though. I know we kind of got sidetracked on that, but like so So you start working at Fidelity. What happens next?
So so pretty quickly I was like, I like this. I feel like I'm pretty good at it,
Yeah.
you know. Um, I was just a sponge. Like I was just absorbing everything I possibly could. And I talked to people that had worked there for a long time in different
Yeah.
positions, like just trying to understand like the whole world that was out there, and I just soaked it all up. And so part of what I did is I said, well, I want to become really good at this. And so
Yeah.
I set my aims high. I was like, okay, I want to be helping people one on one. Those were coincidentally the highest paid positions. And I got promoted 4 times in a year, and I tripled my salary. I
Oh,
tripled my
great,
earnings
dude.
because I just like, I loved it.
Yeah.
I think that's key, honestly, for anything you're doing. And I think the post that we connected on was, I want to say you're kind of talking about doing the side hustle and like kind of splitting your time and focusing on other things when really
Oh,
maybe you should be focusing on your 9 to 5 more.
yeah. Because I hate people who try to get people to get rid of like their 9 to 5, dude.
Yeah, yeah,
It bugs the shit out of me.
yeah. So like I saw my 9 to 5. Like if you hate what you do, then go find a different 9 to 5,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I found that that was the best opportunity for me to get paid and learn.
Yeah.
And when I had kind of capped out there, and I kind of realized like, okay, I've hit my max here of like how much I can grow, and I need another opportunity, then it was okay to leave.
Yeah.
But I really am thankful for my time there, even though I was on the phone. It was a call center, right? I was on the
Yeah.
phone,
Yeah.
you chained to
Fidelity.
your
Yeah.
desk, all
Mhm.
that stuff. It's fun. But I was grateful for it because of everything that I learned, like the opportunities in the world that opened up to me. And so when I
Yeah.
saw another opportunity, I had somebody reach out and say, "Hey, we want you to come work with our firm. We're
Yeah.
growing. We need financial planning in there." I was working on my CFP already, certified financial planner,
Mhm.
and so I was like, okay, cool, new opportunity, like a different angle on learning all of these things, probably in a much more intimate, detailed way for specific individuals. And
Yeah.
so I went there and did that for a couple years. But it's just like it just kind of step by step progressed to where I was
Yeah.
getting the experience that was valuable for other people and where I
Yeah.
felt like I was progressing, you know?
And you got somebody who paid for it. You know what I mean? It's like that's why I posted that was because people get all, I got to listen to so and so influencer so and so whatever. Like my 9 to 5 is killing me. And I'm like, but it probably isn't, and you're probably just not looking at it. Like at the end of that post I put that everybody, most businesses that I've worked for have had
Mhm.
training program, like a training budget, like
Oh yeah.
specifically set aside, and it might not be huge. So, but I've worked out deals where they've paid for it. I've worked out deals where they split it with me. I
Hmm.
worked out deals where, they gave me something, you know.
At Fidelity, I mean, they
They pay for
reimbursed me
everything.
for all of my CFP expenses,
Dude, that's incredible.
and they would help
Yeah.
pay for people's bachelor's or like an MBA if they want to go back and get an MBA.
Wow,
They
dude.
would like they were very generous as far as like progressing, and if you want to get additional licenses, whatever direction you want to go, you just
Yeah,
talk
they
to
would
them,
help.
and
Yeah, they would help you pay for it.
it's like,
Why
where else
wouldn't
are
you
you going to get the opportunity like that environment
Yeah.
and the experience and the knowledge that's there with so many people that are so smart and know
Yeah.
so much more than you do? Like, why would you not just use that to your advantage? Like we talk about
Exactly.
leverage in a lot of other
Exactly.
ways, like investing. Why would you not leverage the people around you in your 9 to 5 to like really boost the value that you can provide in the future?
Yeah. Oh, no question. And that's kind of why that's kind of like my thing is like, I just like to go against that because there's a difference. So, like, for me too, like, there's a difference between like business finances and personal finances, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Um, you're going to listen to somebody, I call them like fake finance gurus, and you're going to listen to somebody who tells you, one thing, and it's like, yeah, but that might work in a business, like that might be what you have to
Yeah.
do in a business, but
Yeah.
personally that might not be what you should do. And so it's all I'm trying to do is get people to like, that's part of the name of the podcast, is like, just open up your mind a little bit, just like
Yeah.
real think about it for 2 seconds and you'll
Yeah.
probably get the answer, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It really is like there's just there's so many trendy things,
Yeah.
like follow your passion or quit the 9 to 5. And all of those ideas are like
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. They're not bad.
No, it's
No.
not like they're bad. It's just that like you said, there's so many opportunities we get confused. And
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
is like we're just like blown from side to side by whatever wind of trend comes by. It's just like, oh, maybe I'll try this for a week. Oh wait, no, I'm going to try that. And it's like you never
Yeah.
make any traction when you do that.
Yeah.
Like you've got to just blind everything else out, focus on what you're doing, and then just like lift your head up after a while and be like, okay, am I still on track? Am I still learning? Do I need to go a different direction? No. Okay, like put your head back down and just
Sure.
work.
Sure. No, I really like that. And it's refreshing to have a conversation like that. So let me ask you, what are some of the beliefs about money that you want people to have or change? Or what are some views about money that you think are important to people?
It's interesting because I've when I was at that firm, okay, I was working with mainly retirees or people getting ready to retire, and we could create a financial plan that was amazing. Okay,
Yeah.
the recommendations, like the outcomes, were fantastic, and the clients sometimes, not everybody, but sometimes they would not implement the recommendations. And after a
It's
while, I was
frustrating.
like, okay, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, what is going on? Like the math, the numbers, like look at it. And what I realized, that's when I kind of thought like, you know what, there's something else here. There's a gap between like what we know we should do and then actually doing it. This applies to anything, not just finances.
Yeah.
But that's where I started really diving into all of the research around financial psychology. And what I found is usually we're holding ourselves back in a number of ways. And there's 4 main money scripts that have kind of been identified as the predominant drivers of our behaviors and financial
Hmm.
outcomes.
Hmm.
So we have I'm going to forget one now that I'm on the spot, but there's money status. So
Okay.
that's like where your net worth equals your self-worth.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So you want to put on this image so people think more of like better of you. Like, hey, if you have a nicer watch or drive a better car or whatever, then people perceive you as being at a certain status. And that's what drives you.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
All right.
Um, there's there's money avoidance,
Okay.
which is you don't really know and you don't want to talk about it. So you just like sweep it under the rug and hope it all works out. But you don't want to have discussions, brings up a ton of anxiety, ton of stress. You just rather not go there. So you just like blind yourself to the problems. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
There's money worship, which is essentially that money will solve all of your problems. And so
Okay.
all of
That's
your
fair.
decisions, all of your actions are driven by getting more money because that's what's going to make you happy.
Okay.
And then the last one is money vigilance, which is actually like probably the most positive one. And it's where you are hypersensitive and hyper vigilant about where your money goes. So these are people that save and don't spend, right? So it's a pretty
Sure.
good trait to have. At some point, it can hold you back from like
Sure.
enjoying money,
Yeah.
but it's a nice thing to start with because you feel like you need to be saving rather than spending all the time. It's like reverse
Right.
of the others. So those are
Right.
like the 4 main money scripts, and everybody kind of falls into one or a little bit in each of those categories.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. And that's interesting. So that's kind of like how you try to figure out what someone's money script is, and then you kind of work from there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because any plan. Okay, I'm not claiming to be brilliant at
Sure.
financial planning.
I
I think
got you.
I'm pretty good at it, but I could put together the most brilliant financial plan for somebody.
Sure.
And if they don't implement it, it is worthless.
Yeah.
And so the best financial advice that I could possibly give is the financial advice that any particular person or couple are going to implement consistently long term.
Oh, yeah. Just be consistent.
Yeah. And so that might not be the mathematically correct choice. Like mathematically might not provide the best outcome,
Yeah.
but
You're going to do it,
they're going to do it.
and something's better than nothing.
Exactly. So like if somebody spends a ton, like they spend a ton on credit cards,
Yeah.
I will tell them to stop spending, right? And we work and we focus on that area where we can really understand their values, why they spend on what they do, and they can identify and become aware of, hey, I'm wasting money. Like I'm buying things I don't care about.
Yeah.
And it can
Yeah.
help curb their spending and divert that into savings. On the flip side, there are people that never spend any money, and I have to twist their arm to go spend money. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I want you to go buy something frivolous this week. Like
Interesting.
you have to get out of this like doomsday kind of scenario where you can only save. Like go get a massage or just go buy something random
Yeah.
and feel the joy in buying that thing. So
Yeah.
it depending on where they're at mentally, the advice and kind of the approach definitely changes.
Yeah. I like what you said, man. I like what you said about having, excuse me, you said the best advice you could give to somebody is whatever they'll stick with long term and implement. It's so crazy. You learn these little things that you're like, yeah, that's obvious, right? Like obviously
Mhm.
that's what you'd want. But you don't think about it like that. Like you don't think about it like you get these amazing nuggets. You're like, it's so simple, but I never would have ever thought
Mhm.
about that. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So it's
What
perfect.
it's like you with the podcast, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
you could go and you could spend months researching what the best mic is, right?
yeah,
What the best lighting is, what the best setup, the best platform, on and on and on, and
yeah,
never do anything.
yeah,
Or you could go by, you could
yeah.
literally just start on Zoom and just hit
Right.
record, and then you're done.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
like
yeah.
that's a way better outcome than the other way.
For sure, and that's actually exactly what happened. You know, I had at first I had like a little. I found a mic on Facebook,
Hmm.
and I was like, all right, so there's this mic on Facebook. I know my buddy's gonna he'll join me on a podcast, and and then I'm just gonna do it in my kitchen.
Yeah, right, right.
And now, and then it just grows and evolves and you get better and now and now it's something like this and one day it might be different but just start, dude. Just do something,
Mhm.
you
And
know.
how many, even if you do create like a really complicated strategy, this goes for anything, right?
Yeah.
But let's just use podcasting. You come up
Yeah.
with a really involved strategy and like everything you're going to do, but
Right.
it's too much. And then you record like 5 episodes and then you burn out like, 90% of the podcasts that are out there, right?
Yeah, for
I think
sure.
there's like an average of like less than 10 episodes that they've ever recorded.
Well, not only that, but it's funny, like they'll just like most people just stop. They
Right.
just like quit.
Yeah.
You're like, oh. So there's like millions of podcasts out there, but there's actually only like 5% or 10% of podcasts that actually put something out weekly
Yeah. They're like
or
actually
consistently.
going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because some people do it monthly. And that's the other thing. You just got to like find a cadence, find a flow that works for you, and then
And
boom.
that you can maintain, right?
Yeah. And you just keep going and you just one after the other.
Mhm.
And you don't really like, I personally don't, I know that, and this is going to sound weird, and this is a post that's coming like on Twitter and LinkedIn, but like, I personally don't have like I have an idea of where I want to go, but it's like it's kind of vague and I don't really know. But I know that if I work every day at being consistent and I do the right things every day, that eventually when an opportunity comes or when I see something, like I'll know, but more
Mhm.
importantly, like I'll be prepared. And that's the thing with money that people like, you know, unless that what in any four of these, it's like you want to be prepared for something that is coming. Yeah, like whatever that is, right?
Mhm.
Like for me, it would be like I want to my vision of like wealth or like my idea of like enough money is like if I saw a cruise or if I saw a flight and I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, that's a really good deal. Like we should just go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it's a good like we have the money. We didn't really necessarily think that like this $100 flight, like round trip flight to San Francisco would be it, but it is, and we're prepared. So let's rock and
Mhm.
roll. You know what
Mhm.
I mean?
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Especially, as at our age, right? When you're young, like there are so many kind of milestones that you're going through, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
oh, hey, I graduated college, I got my first job. Okay, like
right.
you've got to you've got to plan around that, but then you also have to look forward and say, hey, what about when I get my new job and a promotion, or what if I want to buy a house, or what if I want to start a
Yeah,
family, or I want to help provide for my kids' education, or on and on and on. Like there's so many things. Maybe I want to start a business, which is
yeah,
totally cool, right? Or
yeah,
maybe I want to invest in real estate instead of just stocks. And
yeah,
there's so many decisions and like big transition points that if you build a plan, like to your point, if you build a plan that kind of sets you up to be successful in each of those life transitions, it
yeah,
just reduces the friction, and it just gives you so much confidence, like, oh yeah, like I already know what's coming and I'm prepared for it. And
yeah, yeah.
it's done. Great.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of what I think about. That's kind of how I view money is like I don't really know what's going to happen. I know that these things could happen, right? I know that
Sure.
there's but that's the thing is like I know something is there, but I might not know exactly what it is. Like,
Hmm.
we were
Hmm.
talking about my kids and college and stuff. And I was talking to, and my kids are young. I have a 1 year old, or excuse me, I have a 3 year old and a 5 year old, right?
Yeah.
And so we're talking about like investing. I'm talking with my guy and I'm like, hey, what do you think we should do here? What do you think we should do here? And he's like, well, yeah, we could do this. And in 20 years, if they go to college, and I stopped him and I was like, hold on, dude. I totally didn't realize that. You're talking like 20 years. College might not even be a thing in 20 years. I mean, maybe. I mean, I don't see
It's
it going
wild.
anywhere. But you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Like the traditional way we think about college might not even be even close to what it is today. So, but
Yeah,
that can change how you invest, right?
totally. Yeah, like a 529, which is, college savings plan. It's
Yeah.
the
Yep.
qualified expenses, it's pretty narrow. Like you can
Yeah.
use it
Yeah.
for a 2-year institution or a 4-year. You can
Yeah.
use it for some trade schools. And then like that's pretty much it. But what if somebody wants to go to a coding boot camp or something, right?
Right. Right.
Or just get like these additional certifications like Amazon's doing now, or and Google, where you just like go get certified in that thing and then do that job, right? They're like six
Yeah.
month designation. And it's like,
And it
okay,
doesn't
well,
really pay for
now
that.
we can't use that money for it. So yeah,
Yeah.
you got to factor it in like, okay, maybe they'll go to a traditional college. We don't know what that's going to look like. Maybe they don't. So maybe we need to like put some there, but also some somewhere else
Yeah.
where they can use it, with full autonomy. So yeah,
But
there's
that's
a
so
lot of things
crazy.
looking forward that it's like, and what I found when I worked with older people is most people, you're confronted with a decision. Most people are smart,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah. I no, I agree with you.
I
And I
think most
think,
people are
yeah.
pretty smart. They make pretty
Yeah.
good decisions generally.
Yeah.
And so a decision comes up and they weigh all the options and they make the best decision they can, right? A couple years
Right.
later, another decision pops up, they make the best decision they can. And what I learned working with people that were in their 60s and 70s is I would look across their lifetime of financial decisions and I would not
Yeah.
see a lot of bad decisions. I would see good decisions that were not coordinated in any way whatsoever.
Oh.
And so it's like a hodgepodge of things that didn't really get them into any certain direction. Like they were all okay,
Yeah.
nothing wrong with any one of them, but they just weren't coordinated. And when
Right.
you
Right.
when you think ahead and you coordinate those decisions, all of a sudden like the progress that you make in that direction is astounding.
Yeah. Oh, and that's I like what you said about that. It's just like I really like that belief that like especially when you go in from like a salesperson's point of view, like people are smart. Like I think that was like the biggest thing that I changed with like sales
Mm,
in my life was like, okay, I'm gonna stop like thinking that these people don't know what's going on, and I'm just gonna be like, yeah, dude, you're totally right,
mhm,
and my
mhm.
sales tripled after that
It's crazy.
because because it was just like, yeah, you just treat people like I don't know, human beings.
Yeah, yeah. People are
So
not
I
like
like
they're
what you
not
said that,
ignorant.
yeah.
They want to make good decisions, and yeah, just sometimes you just don't know
Yeah,
how to
you
do
just
it
well, yeah, you
exactly.
don't know what you don't know.
And especially with sales, like I look at salespeople, right? And
Yeah.
I work with a lot of them as clients,
Yeah.
and they feel a lot of times they feel some shame or embarrassment that they're not doing all the right things with their money, like management wise.
Yeah.
And it's like you should not feel bad about that because you're really good at making money. Like you've
Right.
honed your skills,
Yeah.
you've honed a lot of skills to be able to be very successful in your career and make a lot of money. And that was the right thing for you to do.
Yeah.
Like you can't be an expert in everything. So you did what
Right.
you're supposed to do. You're an expert. You made a lot of income. And now it's like, okay, you have a problem, and you go address that, whether you learn it by yourself, which could take time or whatever, but
Yeah.
anybody can do what they want to do, or you have somebody come in and help. And like with sales, how many times have you, right, gotten coaching for sales,
Yeah. All the time.
right? Or invested in a
Yeah.
program to help you hone your skills because there's going to be an ROI off of that.
Yeah.
Same thing on the management side. But people feel like this embarrassment and shame, like I feel like I'm a smart person, like I have an MBA. I feel like I should know what to do with my money. And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, we got to dismiss that right now. Like you are smart.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting.
It's just you haven't gotten to that step now, and now you are, and now let's address it. And
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
no room for shame or embarrassment about that stuff.
Well, I like that because it's a real thing. And, people think, and I think it goes back to like you were talking about, like that money status thing. People have like a knowledge status thing, right? Like, I know everything, right? I'm supposed to know this. And it's like, dude, like, homie, no, you're not. Like, that's why there's a board on public companies. That's why there's
Right.
a CEO, a CFO, and a COO, because you
Mhm.
just stay in your lane, homie, and you make. So that's one of the things I love is like, and one of the things I tell people a lot is like, dude, you got to get a good team. Like
Mm.
you need a good accountant guy, you need a good finance guy,
Mhm.
you need a good whatever, you know what I mean? And then it's okay. And just be like, hey, you know what? I you're on my team. If I trust you, like take care of it. Right.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and I
You
think,
you surround yourself with the right people.
yeah. Well, and I think I go a little bit further than that in the sense that I think you should know the basics, right? To have
Mhm.
like an educated conversation with your financial planner. So, like, if you and I were going to have a conversation, and this was what happened with, when I was with my guy,
Yeah.
was like, yeah, I don't really know, dude. Like, I knew enough to give him the picture of what I wanted.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
he was like, actually, what you're saying is this, and actually, what we need to do is this. But I knew enough to like paint it. So I think you got to know enough going in there to have an educated conversation, tell somebody what you want.
Mhm.
But then after that, like let it go,
Yeah. You don't need to become the expert.
right? Exactly. You just,
Yeah.
and that's all I say to people is like, you don't need to become an expert. Just know the basics, like enough to have a conversation, or be self-aware enough
Mm.
to go into have a conversation with you, Dave, and be like, hey, I don't really know what's going on, so let me tell. And then like be comfortable enough and self-aware enough and find somebody good enough to like teach you and learn and ask
Mhm.
questions, so that you can kind of get a good idea of what's going on.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, so there were one of the clients I worked with, one of the wealthiest clients I ever worked with,
All right, cool.
extremely smart.
Yeah.
Okay, like very intelligent. He was the founder and CEO of a very large and successful private company here in the
Right.
valley. Okay, like he knows what to do,
Yeah.
and I was intimidated, like
Of
meeting with him,
course.
right?
Of course.
But the amazing thing was, and I learned this from my other wealthy client. He was the wealthiest I really worked with in depth. But the thing that amazed me was he was all ears.
Oh,
Like he approached the conversation with us with so much humility and like willingness to learn. And he knew a lot, but he didn't need to prove that to us, like for his ego.
sure.
He knew it, he knew a lot, but he would be very open and he'd ask really insightful questions so that he could understand and then make the best decision for himself. And
Hmm.
the wealthiest clients did that. They did not blindly delegate their finances.
Right, right.
And
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a
and,
good, yeah.
and I'm strongly against that. Like you have to know what's going on with your money.
Yeah.
Whether or not you hire professionals to help you, you have to know what's going on at least to an extent, just like you were saying,
Yeah.
because ultimately you're the CEO of your finances. And if you're not paying attention, then what the heck are you doing?
Well, yeah, I like that story about the one of the wealthiest clients who just like, who was humble enough. And that's kind of what I was talking about, just being humble enough to be like, hey, look, dude, I don't really know what's going on. I know
Mhm.
what I should be doing. I know what I want to do. So let's figure this out.
Yeah.
Because you get for I just, obviously you get further that way. You get further when you approach a relationship with like um humility and wanting to learn and stuff like that. And I feel like, and money flows, you know what I mean? Money has its own economy. And so like knowing what that is and knowing how money works, like very important. And there's people out there who know more than you. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Like my favorite philosophy in life is I don't have to be right, I have to get it right.
I love that. That's
you
cool.
know what I, you know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Like I
totally.
don't have to be right, dude. I just got to get it right. And so
Mhm.
if it's not me, it's someone else, but if
And
but
that's
I don't
cool.
have to, yeah.
Either way, we'll get it right.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I don't care.
Either
I
way, I
don't care,
win.
dude. Right, right. Who cares?
Yeah,
Who
the
cares?
most successful people I know, and not just money or whatever, but just the most successful people are confident but humble.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, they're
yeah, yeah, yeah.
confident enough to take action, but they're also very, very humble and open to learning more. And it's like
Right.
this it's almost like a paradox to have both, but it's just true. It's just the way that it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I think people get like, confidence and like arrogance confused.
Yeah.
Just like I think people get like complacent and content confused.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what
I
I'm
agree.
saying?
I just commented on somebody's post like a week ago. They're like, "Contentment's bad." I'm like, "No, contentment's really good.
Yeah.
Complacency's bad." Like,
Complacency is bad. Like, yeah, the word you were looking for is complacent,
yeah,
not
words
content.
matter. Words
Yeah,
matter a
they do.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Because if you're complacent, that means you're okay with the status quo.
Mhm.
And if the status quo isn't, and that's not good. But if you're content, like, because you should be happy, you can find peace in the moment. You can
Mhm.
be happy in the moment, knowing that every day I'm
Regardless
working towards my
regardless
goal.
of the outside circumstances,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And knowing
right?
that every day I'm working towards a goal,
Mhm.
but I'm
Exactly.
content with where I am at where I'm at right now.
Mhm.
Because because I'm not a time traveler and I can't project myself into the future. And by
Well,
the way, even if you could project yourself into the future, you haven't done the work to earn it. So it's
yeah,
not going to mean anything
it's
anyway.
not gonna mean anything, it's not gonna be fulfilling. I find that in sales, especially because it's so goal oriented, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you've got your quotas and you've got, like, your OTE, and you're just driving constantly.
Mhm.
And so when you're so goal oriented like that, and it's just so much a part of your life, like it has
Mhm.
been for mine,
Yeah.
it's so easy to place happiness and success like on the other side of that goal,
Right, dude.
and be so restless now that it's like once I get there, then everything will be fine. And we
Yeah.
all know that's never going to happen.
Right.
Like, the goalpost will move, and then you just live a life of like maybe high achievement but zero fulfillment or contentment. Like,
Yeah.
that sounds awful.
Yeah, and just being like peaceful. Yeah, man. So I've sold everything. My first job was in automotive sales,
Uh-huh.
and that was like, and I guess the job I have is right now, but like most sales, like 90% of sales, except unless you're in like the finance industry where you can
Yeah.
have like residual income.
Yeah, sure.
Um, but other than that, it's exactly what you said. Like at the end of the month, at the end of the quarter, we start over, and
You
you
just
live.
hit zero.
And by the way, none of what happened in the past matters. You're only as
Mhm.
good as your next sale. Like
Yeah, yeah.
to the company. And that's why, back to your point, why it's so important to be content, to be like, you know what, I'm working every day. I'm focusing on what I control. Um, I find peace in that I did my job today. And it might not have gone the way I wanted it to, but I know that if I do the same things every day, if I do what makes me successful
Consistently.
every day,
Yep,
it'll be fine, dude. It'll work out.
that's right.
And yeah,
And you
because
don't need like that extra 100K of commission to like feel happy about your life.
right, right. I can be happy with or without it. And by the way, I
Happy
think
right
once,
now.
yeah. And by the way, it's the paradox of control. Like once you let it go,
Yeah.
Once you let it go, the more comes in.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, the more you have, like the more you let go, the more you get. So like the more I don't chase 100K, the more likely it is to come to me, and I think
Yeah.
that's super important.
Yeah. So it's the
Yeah,
same with
man.
money. It's the same, like if you think about financial planning in the future,
Yeah.
like
Go ahead.
previous generations, like I'll work till 60 or 65 and then I'll stop working and I'll rest. Like that's my, like the light at the end of the tunnel. And so you're putting off that traditional way of thinking about it. Again, for previous generations, I don't fault them at all, because
Yeah.
that's just the hand they were dealt, and they did what they could.
Yeah.
Nowadays, we have an option, and it's like, okay, well, you could sacrifice all living now. I get this with the FIRE movement. Are you
Okay.
familiar with the FIRE movement?
No, I'm not.
But financial independence, retire early. There's like a ton of blogs out there, but a lot of them talk about extreme frugality. Like, I'm going to live on 20,000 a year and save 100,000 a year, and I'll be able to retire in 2 years or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Right? They have all their calculators. It's all about retiring literally as early as possible, usually with extreme frugality.
Okay.
And I just don't like it.
Yeah.
I
It doesn't
don't.
make it. I don't like that idea
It's
either.
such a scarcity mindset, but it's like, create something, create a life and a balance with your money where you're not just looking forward to a certain point where finally you can enjoy your money and be happy. It's like,
Right.
enjoy it and be happy now, and also know that you're preparing for the future. And
Yeah. I
that
like
balance
that.
is so, it can be tricky to attain, but it's so worth it. Like the emotional baggage you take off your shoulders when you know, okay, I'm doing what I need for my future. And like, we're still going on cool vacations now. And I can even
Yeah.
still get the car I want because it all works. Like, I'm taking care of my future. It's just, it's amazing how freeing that is.
Yeah. For sure. For sure. I like that a lot. Hey, you don't have to answer this question, or I'm just curious because
Sure.
we've been seeing a lot about this Social Security thing. You know what I'm talking about?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. What are you thinking about that, dude? What's your thoughts on it, man?
Like, what, the fun's going to run out?
Yeah, dude. Isn't
Yeah.
that bananas, bro?
I mean, it's
That's
kind of
great.
been
Well, I
written,
mean, it's
it's been
the
written in,
government.
yeah, it's been written in the stars for a couple decades. Like, it's not super surprising.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Um,
I mean, it is for people who didn't know it was coming.
yeah, exactly. Like, it's
Yeah.
like, wait, shoot,
Yeah.
I don't have Social Security to rely on. And if you're relying on Social Security, it
Yeah.
likely is not going to really matter for those of a certain age and above.
Okay.
Like, I think ultimately the way to resolve this is reduced benefits in the future.
Yeah.
And so, but I think there'll always be some form of it around. It just
Yeah.
might change shape. But I think there's always going to be some benefit. Like for us, there'll be something, even if it's maybe quite a bit less than what people are counting on today.
Yeah.
And so, people that are getting ready to retire and stuff, I honestly don't think they have a whole lot to worry about. Like, I think they're going to be
Sure.
taken care of.
Yeah, they'll be fine. But like people who are further back.
But it puts the onus on us. Like, I don't count on Social Security.
Right. Well, I don't think you should.
Yeah, like, I
Like,
don't factor it in, like, okay, I'll have Social Security income and then I only need to make up this much. It's like, no,
yeah.
I'm going to provide for myself, and whatever's there is there,
Yeah.
and great.
And it's gravy, by the way. And it's just
Gravy. Yep.
gravy. Um, I had this conversation. So this was just a personal decision that we made that was right, that felt right for our family. So we refinanced our house and I paid off all my student loans.
Hmm.
With this crazy economy, dude,
Yeah.
with this
Yeah.
housing market. So I was like, you know what, that's great. Student loans are bad only because like the federally insured student loans are just terrible. They don't look good on anything.
Yeah.
So I was like, we're just gonna get it off. We're gonna refinance the house. We're gonna move the equity over there and get rid of those.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
I had a friend come over and he was like, dude, the government's gonna pay him, like Biden's in, dude. He's gonna pay it out. And I was like, no, there's no way. And if you think I'm gonna wait for the government to take care of me, you're higher than a kite, bro. Because there's no such thing as no strings attached with the U.S. government, man.
Yep. It's always just kicking it further down the road, honestly, kicking the can,
Right.
And
So I was like,
even
yeah,
even Biden talked about, like, there was a lot of backlash with President Biden, because then, people in his party were saying, like, forgive all student loans.
yeah,
And he's like, yeah, we should work on that. And then he gets elected and he's like, probably
nah,
up to like 10,000.
Yeah,
maybe.
and not even that, by the
Yeah.
way. And
And
the big news came from like the what was that? What was that school? It was like ITT Tech or something.
I don't know.
It was some school. So dude, this came across my LinkedIn. I was like, "Whoa, dude, this is bananas." It was like Biden forgave like 1.1 billion in student loans, and I'm
Um,
like, that must be a lot of student loans. And it was one school, and it was because the school
yes.
was like defrauding students.
Right, right.
And I was like, it was like 150,000 people. I'm like, 150,000, 1.1 billion with a B. That's bananas,
The
dude.
math just doesn't work. Yeah,
I'm like, holy crap.
there's definitely going to be a reckoning in higher education, because I
There
see
better be.
the thing I see as well is like it's with workers right now. There's
Yeah.
labor shortage, so companies are trying to offer extra incentives, right? They're increasing pay. Like McDonald's
Yeah.
is paying $15 an hour,
That's great. Yeah, it's crazy, bro.
and Walmart and Target are like, hey, we'll pay for your tuition at college, which college
Yeah.
it can be a great thing. Statistically, generally, you get into a higher socioeconomic status to go through
Yeah.
college
Yeah.
if you
I
make
don't
the
think
right
go ahead. Go ahead.
choices. Yeah, if you make the right choices there. But at the same time, what happens was if there's unlimited student loans and employers paying for college,
Yeah.
colleges are going to keep increasing costs
It's a
because
racket,
they
bro.
can. Yeah. And so all of a sudden, what, you're getting a bachelor's degree for 300,000? Like, what are your
Freaking
kids or my kids like? What are they going to pay? So at some point, and then it's just more debt. And if you forgive it, it ripples across everything, right?
yeah, for sure.
And so it's like there's going to be a reckoning there sometime.
Yeah, yeah. It's an inflation tax.
Yeah,
Like
but
that's what happens.
in the meantime, I'm going to control my situation
Yeah, exactly.
and manage it, and I'm not going to wait on anybody.
You can't. I just don't think you can.
I'm in
That's what I
charge of
said.
me, and that's it. And if
Yeah,
something else
that's what I
happens on
said.
the outside, I'll adjust, right, and pivot and whatever. But
Yeah.
I'm just not going to count on
Well,
anybody else.
and what I was like, he was like, "Well, what if they do?" And I was like, "I might feel bad for 5 minutes,
Either
and
way, I
then I'll
won't have
move on." Yeah,
loans
and then I'll move on because I don't care, dude. Like
because
I
I'm
don't
past
care.
that. Like I'm already on my way to
Yeah.
something else. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that if they if they forgive all of them in a year, I'm a year ahead of you. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't care, dude.
And
And good
here,
for you, and good for the people who got it, man. Go get what you got to do, bro.
and
But
here's
yeah,
an
I can't.
interesting thing with money and how we process decisions.
Okay.
We want the absolute best deal possible,
Right.
whatever it is. And so,
Yeah.
like, if it's in the stock market, oh, the market's high. I don't want to buy right now. I'm going to wait till it drops before I invest because I want a good deal. Like,
Right.
historically, that doesn't work for you.
Right.
Or a car, you're getting nickel and dime, right? Or
Yeah.
student loans, like I could pay them off, but maybe they'll forgive them in 10 years. And if I look at the payments and the interest and then the taxes that I'll have to pay on the forgiven balance, like I might be better off if I wait to have them pay. Like we try and
Yeah.
optimize all these things, and in the end, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't. Yeah. You're talking about it's sixes. You're talking about the same thing.
It's like it's not an ego thing. You don't have to
Right.
brag about, oh, I saved $600 more by waiting and get my
Yeah, dude.
student loans forgiven than you. It's like that doesn't even matter. Like, what are you talking about?
I saw this post, and it infuriated me because I only say this because I just want people to know that like I know a little bit about what I'm saying.
Sure,
Like
sure.
I got my bachelor's degree in accounting. I saw this post on LinkedIn, and this guy was going through. He's like, I owe this much, but cash is king, and he's going through all these tables, and I'm like, dude, I did the math with you, and you're talking about like pennies, bro. You want me to think you're cool because you saved? I'll give them to you from my couch, man, and then just put it. You know what I mean? And then just
Yeah.
make the bet. Then just pay them off, dude. Because student loans are not good. Like when I was in the car industry and we looked at credit, every day. I was a finance manager for 2 years. You could have $1 million loan on your house and 30,000, and a 30,000 student loan, and the bank would hate the $30,000 student loan before they ever hated the $1 million house.
Yeah. That's crazy.
You could be in default on a house and current on your student loans, and they would still hate your student loans.
It's crazy, man.
It's bananas, dude. Like banks,
And
they don't like them.
there's so many ways there's so many like financial hacks and strategies out there.
Yeah.
It's like, how much time is this going to require?
Yeah.
And are you ever going to stick with this long term to actually see it pay off?
Yeah. And are you just saying that you're cool? Are you just trying to look cool because you got like 10K in your bank account, dude? Because like
Yeah.
I don't really care.
And it's like, even if you make this strategy work and you stick with it,
Yeah.
how much time out of your precious life are you
Oh,
dedicating to optimizing for a few dollars here or there and not just living your life? Like,
yeah.
stop thinking about the numbers.
You meant
Everything I do with financial planning is so that we can put the plan in place, implement it, and then you can freaking forget about it,
yeah, yeah.
except every
Autopilot.
once in a while,
Yeah.
but just live your life.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny you mentioned this, and this will be the last thing before we hop off because you know we've had a great conversation. But you mentioned a post that was like DIY, and I mean, look. By the way, listen, if you want to do stuff yourself, I really don't care. But at the end of the day, it's like you don't have to like glorify it for me because it took my time is worth so much money, and if I pay somebody to do it for me, it's actually cheaper, like mathematically. But you just wanted to look cool to show me that you did it. And like, dude, if you want to, like, some people do DIY stuff because like that's how they, like, I know a lawyer. He's a high profile lawyer here
Yeah.
in Salt Lake, and he changes his own oil and fixes his own car. And I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, you could do that. You could have someone do that for cheaper. He's like, no, this is a mental release for me. I'm like, all right, I'm done. Right.
Right.
Do,
At that point,
do it,
like,
dude.
there's more
But if you
than
think you're saving money, you're not, dude.
there's
You're not.
more in a calculation than just the money. And
Yeah,
I agree. Like,
absolutely.
I tore down our deck. I built my deck
Yeah.
on the back
Yeah.
of my house. And in the end, I saved dollars from
Sure.
having a professional do it.
Sure.
I think it's pretty dang good for never having built a deck before, but they
Yeah.
would have done better. Okay.
Yeah.
And the amount of time that I spent on it was ludicrous. So I definitely overall put more money into that than just paying somebody to do it. But at the
Yeah.
same time,
It was like a mental thing. It was
yeah, it's a
refreshing.
mental
Yeah.
thing. It's like I
Yeah.
work over here and then I get to go over here and like be creative and like and figure
Figure
things
out a
out in a
problem.
different
Yeah. Do
way.
something
And
new.
it is a release mentally. And so it's like, cool. Last
Yeah.
summer during the pandemic, right? We built a big playhouse in the backyard.
Yeah.
And we could have bought one of the kits and put it together, but instead I got my kids together and we designed what we wanted.
Oh, that's
And then
cool.
we went and built it. And it took a ton of
Yeah,
work,
that's cool. Yeah.
but like we did it together. I taught them skills. They got exactly what they wanted.
Yeah, dude.
And
And
it costs probably more money than just buying like one of the prefabricated ones,
yeah. But
and
that's
definitely
my
more time. But
point. And
yeah,
dude, and kudos for you. And I've done the same thing. My wife did. But it's the guys who like, who are very like arrogant about it and want to
it's when you
shove it
have
in your
an
face.
ego. It's when you have an
It's when you
ego
have an
that like,
ego.
well,
Yeah.
I can figure it out. I'm smart. It's like, well, of course you can.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Great,
Yeah.
good for you.
Yeah, but it's like, dude, don't, or they really believe it's like a money thing. Like they don't understand that they spend more money on
Yeah.
it. Because
And
I
so
totally get that.
and DIY is honestly an incredibly important skill.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
to be that resourceful is incredibly important, especially when you're starting in something.
Right.
Okay. Like, but if you look at like business or your profession,
Yeah.
DIY will get you here. Like it's like one of those growth curves where it's like there's a lot of progress and then you just plateau,
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah.
or it's like a really slow growth curve. Or you could just my post today, by the way. So you go check it out. Or you could
Ideal.
just find somebody that's done it or is an expert and
Yeah.
pay them the money to help you figure it out. And all of a sudden, like your ceiling goes way up.
I actually
It does.
I met an entrepreneur who owned a iPhone shop, or like he owned one of the big like fix it shops before he sold it. And they were like, hey, they were trying to find a marketer. Long story short, this marketer comes up. They're like the most expensive one, but he knows they're good. He goes, okay, I'll make you a deal. He's like, I'll pay what you want, but I get to sit in all the meetings and you get to teach me exactly what you know. And they're like, all right, deal. And then when he sold that, he started his own marketing company and crushes it.
That's awesome.
I was like, sick, dude.
That's awesome.
It was sick.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, hey, thank you so much, Dave. Right before we leave, tell everybody where they can find you, if they want your services, where they can go.
Yeah. I mean, just check me out on LinkedIn.
All right,
Got a
cool.
client case study that's there on my profile. You can check out to kind of get some ideas. But yeah, I'm on LinkedIn all the time, so hit me up.
All right, sounds good, man. Well, hey, thank you so much, Dave.
Thanks for having me, man. It's fun.